Hello and welcome. The Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors has warned that there are serious challenges with supply of dollars that must be addressed to avert fuel price hike at the pumps. A recent report by Bloomberg said that Ghana may experience a shortage in fuel supply due to dwindling forex reserves. However, the National Petroleum Authority has assured there are adequate measures to prevent a shortfall. The following report has more.
In recent times, fuel prices have seen increases at the pumps, burdening consumers. Reports by Bloomberg suggesting that Ghana's forex reserves are dwindling and that could lead to fuel shortage alarmed industry watchers. Speaking to journalists via Zoom, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senor Hosi, stated that the foreign exchange challenges must be addressed.
Definitely, when demand outstrips supply, prices go up. That's the first thing that the market will show. Now, we have a situation where there's a lot of efforts to sort of stagger demand in a way that will negatively impact prices. And maybe that's where the problem is. While we sometimes see there's a challenge with supply from the commercial banks, when you thoroughly look at the issues, you realize that the issue really is not even just the fact that there's a total absence of liquidity, but the pricing does not effectively match that liquidity.
According to Bloomberg, the monthly fuel import bill for Ghana jumped to $450 million in May from $250 million in January. Making suggestions, Mr. Hosi stressed that it was imperative for the Bank of Ghana to ensure consistent supply of the dollar.
So the central bank has a responsibility from a policy side, but operationally, it is not a sole entity responsible to deliver the FX to the oil and gas sector. So now we need $450 million thereabout on a monthly basis. The central bank has a responsibility to make sure that the market can supply that, but it hasn't got a responsibility to be the one supplying it. So if the central bank has to scale down and is unable to actually supply or provide that 450 million on its own, there are no problems provided the general market can deliver. So do we have, to answer your question more directly, if the central bank does not extend or expand its supply provision under its current BDC option, would there be a shortage? Not necessarily. But that can be the case if its absence in the market is not effectively compensated by supply coming from the open or commercial banks. That is when you're actually going to have a crisis. So there must be a balance. A central bank, in effect, is supposed to be a point of almost last resort, or trying to make sure it uses its intervention to stabilize any speculation that may be happening in the market at any given point in time.
So joining us with some thoughts on this is Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, who is an energy specialist. He joins us via Zoom. Thank you so much for your time. The Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is assuring we have enough fuel, but once forex exchange challenges must be addressed to avert price hikes. Is that reassuring enough for consumers?
Yeah, thank you very much. And good afternoon or good evening to you and your cherished viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Yes, that's indeed a worrying trend. We always mention that if you look at what the consumer pays at the pump, three things are accountable for that. One will be the taxes, the other one will be the exchange rates, and then the prevailing prices in the global space or within the global space. We thought that prevailing prices, like crude oil prices within the global space, was the wild card here. Now it is now emerging that I think the exchange rate that we have been talking about is becoming also a serious bottleneck. Yeah, so I think consumers should have some cause to worry because the BDC, they just have so much they can do. They have done so well within the years, but the global dynamics that is unfolding could have the potential to overpower them. And what are the global dynamics? We have a lot of disruptions in supply chain, and Russian-Ukraine war has just come to exacerbate the situation. So should it come to a point that, the BDCs have they lost the capability of getting product into the country. That is going to become very difficult. So they could have even the dollars required, but the supply chain, the bottleneck within the space, outside space, could still, impede the ability to be able to bring in finished product. But over the years, I think they did creditably well, and they deserve some commendation. But I think there are just so much they can do, So yes, consumers should be worried, but I think we should just hold our gun and just make sure that we stand and watch, see what the BDCs, the central bank, and NPA, they can galvanize their forces together to forestall any potential fuel shortages.
Okay, the central bank is struggling to balance the country's import bill, which doubled from $250 million in January to $450 million in May. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so that is interesting, and I think that's understandable. If you look at Bloomberg report, even though they are saying they are trying to hide, where they are trying to say they don't want to disclose the source, but even without any source, if you look at, where the product prices have skyrocketed to, if hitherto we needed, let's say, 250 to bring in these finished products, that is enough to satisfy the whole nation. And oil prices are within the 3-digit figure. It is inevitable that we'll need something like, twice of that, if not more. And so the 450 they are estimating, it's just logical. And so that will mean that we're going to have a lot of strain on the greenback, that is the dollar. And that's why we've been calling for the fact that, we have to have a kind of pressure relief for the dollar. Should anything happen that there's so much pressure on it as we are talking now, then, we should have an alternative to go. So yes, if the inevitable become inescapable, and what is the inevitable here? If the central bank lost the capability of getting the required or guaranteeing the required amount of cash, as in greenbacks, dollars, to the importer to bring in finished products, there's going to be product shortage. There's no two ways about that. So, but they are still working around the clock. Let's hope that, they're able to organize forces, get dollars available for them to be able to bring in finished products. But why do we have to even depend so much on the external forces for our destiny? That is not the way to go. So I think, we have to tread cautiously, and whatever forces that they are galvanizing, NPA, CBOD, and then, the central bank, they should just try to make that available for the importers to guarantee the required amount of finished product that is needed for the nation. Already product prices are very high. So should it come to the fact that they need to rush in the products, it's going to be very difficult. And that will further exacerbate what the consumer pays at the pump.
Your final thoughts, though, what homegrown solutions must be prioritized to avert a possible shortage of fuel?
Yeah, so directly with respect to this particular situation, we just need a pressure relief for the dollar. The situation is just about the dollar. And global price already, how we are struggling with that. Now the forex element has come to play, and the only credible pressure relief for the dollar at this moment is to minimize the quantum that we use to import the dollars. In other words, if you are able to source some of this product locally, that would be the way to go. It means that if we needed 450, probably we can source some of the product locally. And sourcing the product locally, the only credible conduit is to have a local refinery. So yes, local refinery should be a pressure relief, because it will give a lot of space. It will give a lot of advantage for a briefing space for the dollar, and even our CB. That will be a briefing space. Number two, I think we need a huge storage capability. That has already been called. That has already been my call. If you have huge storage capability and with a running and a robust refinery, these are the ways that you can relieve a situation like this.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana. He's an energy specialist. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Away from